When I saw what had happened to my beloved airplane, I was so upset I almost threw up. I'm going to talk about what happened on this episode of Taking Off. Welcome to Taking Off. I'm Christy Wong. Some months ago, Dan talked about the importance of confrontation instead of tattletelling. His rant was brought on by the snitching of Premier One driver to the FSDO for something that wasn't even an error. Dan did mention that although most of the time we should resist the tattletelling, there are times when it might be necessary. And I am going to talk about one of those such times. This is highly emotional, so bear with me. A lot of you know how I feel about my airplane. Her name is Sweet Caroline, but most everyone knows her as the Long Warrior. She's a Piper Cherokee Warrior 2, and I love her. Many people outside of aviation think that all of us airplane owners must be rolling in the dough, but that's not always true. We've just made a way somehow, sometimes with deep sacrifices, to realize our flying dreams with a plane of our own, and it's no different for me. One of the ways that an airplane owner can offset the cost of ownership is to lease back the airplane to something like a flying club, which is what I did. And with the flying club, we get to vet who joins and who flies our airplanes. We establish the rules and procedures that protect our club members and the plane owners. And as far as I know, this really hasn't been much of a problem in the past. At least, not until I got an anonymous text. The text asked about the aerobatic capabilities of the Warrior, and I honestly thought it was someone trying to troll me, so I didn't even respond right away. Now, for those who might not know, let me give you some FAA definitions of the 3 categories of airplanes that we're talking about, found in the FAR 23.3. In paragraph A, a normal category aircraft is intended for non-aerobatic maneuvers. Specifically, not included is any bank angle of more than 60 degrees. The next category is utility, found in section B. Now, spins are allowed, but bank angle still can't exceed 90 degrees. Subsection C spells out the acrobatic category, which allows for flight with no restriction on maneuvers. So how is the plane categorized? Well, by the manufacturer. The plane structure has been tested to withstand specific forces before failure. When aerobatic maneuvers are performed, they can put huge stresses on the airframe and power plant, loading the wings, G-force, and all of that. A normal category airplane is not built to handle that. And for the most part, the utility is not either. So what's the big deal? So you go do a loop or a barrel roll in a Cessna 172, it's gonna be all right, right? No. And that's a no written in the blood of a lot of people. In North Texas, where I'm at, in 2007, a young CFI felt it was no big deal. He took a Piper Aero, the same kind of airframe as my Long Warrior, up with a student and an observation student. After some aerobatic maneuvers, the airplane broke apart in flight, killing everyone when it hit the earth. The CFI had been doing it in other flight school aircraft and had been warned not to do it, but nobody that knew what was going on wanted to be a snitch. They tried to reason with the guy, but he blew them off. No big deal, remember? The plane can handle it. No, it can't. Wings fall off. People die when you hot dog in these small normal category aircraft planes. They're not built for it. So that's the background, and you can probably see where I'm going with this. Going back to the anonymous text, it wasn't trolling me or pulling a prank. The person on the other side of the text was aware of a club member who had been doing aerobatics in the Long Warrior and was genuinely concerned about structural capability of the airplane. Then this person sent me pictures. Dude, when I saw those pictures of my airplane upside down, I almost threw up. I was so hot and so upset because there's no way this airplane should ever be in that attitude. It's just not structurally built for it. My airplane was upside down. I found out who it was that did the aerobatics in the airplane, and I contacted the flying club board. We immediately grounded the airplane and got maintenance involved. Everyone banded together to help me. We spent 4 days doing nose-to-tail inspections on the structure. I went ahead and got the eddy current inspection done on the wing spar, which just happened to coincide on the very day the FAA released the Piper wing spar AD for this model. That AD was born from the Piper incident in Florida, where the wing spar had fatigue cracking and the wing came off in flight during a check ride, killing both the pilot and the examiner. Stories like that and the young hot dog CFI out of Arlington hit too close to home because I own an airplane with the same structural designs. I was so upset. I literally broke down and cried in front of the AMPs when they got there and started tearing apart the airplane. I just couldn't believe that someone would betray my trust and disrespect my airplane. You know, this is somebody that I personally interviewed and allowed into the club. It really breaks my heart that they could be so careless and reckless and intentional and not just disregard my airplane, but put all of the other people, the members who fly her at risk for their lives if the structure failed in flight because of stress put on by those aerobatic maneuvers. I mean, think about that commercial check ride student with the DPE when they went up in the Aero in Florida. They were just going to do an everyday, normal check ride. And they were doing normal maneuvers for the airplane and it broke up in flight. I put my son in that airplane. Other members put their family in that airplane. I just shake when I think of what could happen. A family die because somebody thought it'd be cool to do loops and barrel rolls in a normal category airplane. I think the worst thing I found out is that this person knew the airplane wasn't rated for that. I mean, there's placards on the airplane itself on the inside. It's written in the POH, it's right there. He knew the inherent risk and danger, but he did it anyway and was only upset after the fact. You know, I'll share something with you I've learned. When someone's truly sorry about a bad behavior or a mistake, they usually bring it up themselves. But oftentimes I find that when someone's confronted, they get all sorry, not for what they did or the lives that they risked, but sorry that they got caught, and there's a big difference. The guy here is afraid that the feds are going to pull his certificate. I gotta be honest, I'm pretty pissed off, as you can tell. And as I mentioned at the top, there's a time to call the FSDO when life and property is at immediate risk, and this is one of those times. I can only hope that whatever the FSDO does, it elicits a change in behavior for this individual and for future individuals thinking about doing this. I've seen other people, when they get caught, they get all sorry this and sorry that, and then turn around and text their buddy giggling about how they got away with it and how they're gonna go do it again. I pray this is not one of those times. If his behavior doesn't change and he simply moves on to another flying club or rental business, he might kill people. There was another story in the news from North Texas a few years back, and most of you heard about it. A 16-year-old, enabled by his parents, killed a group of people while driving drunk in his truck. One of Dan's camera crew was best friends with one of the victims who died. That teen got off lightly on what is now called the affluenza defense. I'm afraid that's what we've got here. An individual with a pilot certificate enabled by the people around him doing aerobatic maneuvers in airplanes not built for it. I hope it doesn't end in bloodshed. I really don't know what else to say. I haven't really spoken to this individual since finding out. I honestly don't know what I would say. I hope he's truly sorry and repentant, that he knows and understands how bad this behavior is and what could have come from it. We're looking at the flight logs of the other planes in the club now because we can't risk people's lives. One flight log in particular showed my airplane surpassing 200 knots ground speed. That means now we have to inspect the engine to see if it was oversped. All I can think of if I were to see this guy is, dude, I trusted you. We trusted you. For anyone out there thinking about doing aerobatics in a normal rated aircraft, don't do it. Just don't. It's not worth it. You think you're being smart or cool or whatever, but you're putting other people's lives and property at real risk. If you want to go upside down, then go up in an airplane rated for that, with someone who can show you how to do it properly and safely. In aerobatic CFI, there's plenty of them around. There's no need to take a 172 or a Piper up and do these kinds of maneuvers. It's It's not okay. And if I find out you're doing it, I will report you. Everyone here at Taking Off, Dan included, if we find out, we will report you to the FSDO. I'm not kidding. It's not okay. I don't know what else to say. It's just not okay. Okay. I will say I am incredibly thankful to the people who let me know. It took guts, but it was the right thing to do because it allowed me to get the inspections done on the airplane. And for those of you who have ever had to report somebody, thank you. Thank you for saving future lives. I'll end this with a little positive. The Wong Warrior, thank goodness, did not have any stress cracking during the nose to tail inspection. Hopefully the engine will be okay, especially since we just got a top overhaul done. And for you watching, please don't do anything like this. And if your buddy is going to do it, don't just advise them not to. Get in their face. Tell them it's not cool. It's not funny. And if that doesn't work, just call the FSDO. You could save a life. Thank you for watching, and please fly safe. We'll see you next time on Taking Off.